A lot of people believe that the rock is obviously a reference to Christ, which it is, but also the key feature is the foundation, because the foundation is built upon obedience to Christ. And the point he was making is that when we build our foundation on him in obedience, what that does is it encourages us and reinforces our faith, and then it also builds us up so that we can withstand the trials of life. Because one of the things that we're promised, especially as believers in the Bible, is that we will always have trials. We'll always have tribulation in our life. Things won't be easy. But if we are firmly built on that foundation and have laid a foundation of obedience to Christ, that will build us up so that we can withstand those trials. And then, of course, the other illustration was the man who didn't build his house on the firm foundation. And this can represent a believer or a non-believer. Even as believers, we can stray away or not be obedient to God. And it's in those times then that we don't have a firm foundation and we can get swept away. The other thing was the three different things it speaks of. It speaks of wind, it speaks of rain, and it speaks of the water, okay, the flood waters. And the people that Jesus spoke to would have really related to this parable, because there was sort of a monsoon season, there where he was talking about the areas in and around Jerusalem. And when those rains came, they were torrential and last a long time. So if you didn't have your foundation built on a solid rock, your house would be swept away. So it really related to those people. But the other thing is that I saw, and that really what he described were three kind of spiritual attacks that we suffer in life. There was the rain. The rain represented to me trials that come directly from God. We're promised that we will have trials and tests. Sometimes those trials are for the purpose of reinforcing our faith or bringing us closer to God. Sometimes they are corrections, God correcting us in life, the same way we would be corrected as a child. And we are in this case. So that's what that represents. But then there was the wind, and the wind is really speaking of Satan or satanic attacks of doubt or fear about our faith, or even doubts about me getting up and speaking to a whole bunch of people about Christ. Those attacks come, and those are directly from Satan. Then there's also the water, and the floodwaters represent the world. These are the floodwaters, the things of the world, the ideas of the world, and how not only we can cling to those ideas as people, clinging to whatever it might be, to wealth, power, or any of those things that we can get sucked into, and it draws our eye off of God. But that's what the floodwaters represent. And then I added a lot of my own personal stuff to it as well. You know, when he talked about these two men, he was really talking about the whole household. And, I thought about, certainly at that time, and it's still true today, there were multiple family members, sometimes extended family, lived in one house. And what it represented to me was how one person can make a huge difference in the lives of others, family and friends. By one man building his foundation, he laid a foundation not just for him, but his entire family and the entire household, and people influenced by him. And unfortunately, the same is true of the other man who didn't build his foundation on obedience to God. So that's what I saw. And then I also saw, this kind of act of saving someone else. When we are firmly planted on a foundation of obedience to Christ, we can much more easily help others. And that's what that represented to me, reaching out to others too, in that hope. And there's other things that I had planned for the painting, but there it is in a nutshell. So that's the explanation.
Thank you.